What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be reviewing the Optica 650 to 1300 millimeter f8 f16 telephoto super telephoto zoom lens. The one that I got comes with a 2x teleconverter, so you can, as you'll see me do, bring the maximum magnification all the way up to 2600 millimeters, which is insane. I got this for about $200 off of Amazon. There is a cheaper version which comes without the 2x teleconverter, which I honestly would recommend, but we'll get to that later. But I just think with a lens like this, the teleconverter is really unnecessary. I mean, 1300 millimeters is already crazy enough. I mean, doubling that just is really unnecessary. You can see here that we have the lens, which comes in a bag. A padded bag, which is nice. I'm going to start by opening the teleconverter, and sorry if this is out of focus. I was using the autofocus on my camera, so I wasn't really aware of how slow that is to focus. So you'll probably see some jump cuts because I was waiting like 10-15 seconds for this thing to focus. So there you go. There's the 2x teleconverter. It's all metal, which is nice, so you don't need to worry about breaking it if you accidentally drop it. Here's the T-mount adapter for Canon EOS. Really nice. That's also fully metal. And right here we have the lens. This thing is a beast. I think it weighs about 4 pounds, which is by far the heaviest lens I have ever owned in my life. I mean, I only have like 3 lenses, so I mean that's not really saying much, but quite heavy, solid full metal body, which is really nice. Comes in that padded case again, which is really great because I was paranoid about like dropping this thing. So here it is. It's really large. I'd say, if I had to just guess, I haven't measured it, but it's got to be at least like not 2 feet, but well, 2 feet probably fully extended. But anyways, you can see here that that's how you focus. They actually label near and far. They don't really give you any measurements though. They don't really give you like an infinity point, which is kind of a bummer. That's not terribly difficult. You can find it yourself, I guess, and mark it with a Sharpie. Right here we have like we have a little metal rig, so you can attach this to your tripod. I would not recommend attaching your camera to the tripod without any support for this, because it will probably break your camera off, break your camera in half. And then this right here is how you zoom in. So you have like a lock and open thing, and you twist that to kind of loosen it up. And as you can see here, I had to kind of grip it pretty tightly to loosen it up. And it's not easy to do with one hand. So really, you're gonna have to, if you're gonna use this, pick the focal length that you want to use beforehand, set it to that, and then get all the focusing right. You really can't focus this while you're using it. It goes out of focus, and I mean, you can't zoom it, while you're using it. I mean, you really kind of got to set that beforehand. But you can see it's a push-pull zoom anyways, and they label the aperture on one side and the focal length on the other side. So you can see the longer you make it, the higher the aperture is going to be on that, so the less light you're going to be getting. It does, it's not like the tightest thing. It kind of wiggles a little bit actually, and yeah, once again, I mean, once you pull that thing out all the way, I mean, it becomes at least 2 feet long. I mean, it's massive. So not really the ideal for space. You can see there's a Canon 18 to 55 and a 55 to 250. So size comparison, again, really large, pretty heavy lens as well. So really, it's not going to be your best friend in terms of traveling around with it. It's also, as I've said before, full metal body, so it's gonna be really heavy. I can also describe more once we start seeing some of the test footage that this thing, I have a small travel tripod. It's the only one I have, and that tripod was actually struggling to hold this lens up. I mean, that tripod only has like a max capacity of like 6 pounds. So I was actually a little worried with my camera and this lens that I was gonna like break the tripod. But the other issue that I'll get to, and the big one, is really aiming it. We'll see though, right here, Here's a test comparison between those three lenses. So here's a Canon 18-55. There's a building right in the middle of the frame. It's a little difficult to see, but this lens really isn't designed for a lot of zoom functionality. It's more of a wide angle lens, honestly. We can see here with the 55 to 250, which was that second lens you saw in that previous image. We do get quite a bit more zoom out of it. So still nice, clean, sharp images. You'll see the day changes. I had some stuff I had to take care of when I was in the middle of filming this, so you'll see the light change on that building right there. Here's the Optica at 650 millimeters. So this is the lowest focal length that actually goes. And you can see it's a nice sharp image, and that's me just changing the focus on it. The focus actually is, the focal plane is sort of narrow, so it can be difficult to get objects in focus. Here we have it at 1300 millimeters, and you can see like that movement. This is not a stabilized lens either, so any little bit of movement is going to look like an earthquake. And you can see me trying to focus it while filming, and you can see it gets very shaky, which can also make it tricky to focus this as well, especially when you go out to the higher focal lengths. And this is still 13, so it's fully extended but without that 2x teleconverter. And as you'll see pretty soon, once we get to that 2600, it gets crazy from there. As also one weird thing I want to mention, and I think it's the way they kind of carved away at the glass, but when I put the teleconverter on, this is the sort of thing I see. So when you look through this, like the viewfinder, because that's the easiest way I found to focus, you'll see some weird brighter spots and some darker rings and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's the teleconverter. That's just, I guess, cheap glass, and just the way they cut it probably creates that strange effect. So here we are out at 2600 millimeters now, and you can see that I don't really have it framed that well. And that's because trying to frame this thing took forever. This was very difficult to frame. I mean, you can see right here, I kind of lifted up. I'm actually holding that with my hand while doing that, and I tried to be very steady, because my tripod, just with the weight of this lens, it would kind of push my tripod down after I'd kind of get it lined up, and it just made it very difficult to frame anything, which is why I think the teleconverter is just kind of a waste of time. You can also see here, one thing I did notice is this is like the back end of the teleconverter that screws into the to the T-mount, and you can see that once this little autofocus, you can see that that ring actually also screws into the teleconverter. It's like a separate part. It's not like the teleconverter is not like one whole piece. It has this little ring thing that actually screws into both pieces, the teleconverter and the T-mount. And the reason I'm showing this is because while I was using this, I screwed it on too tight. I keep, for some reason, I keep putting it up to the T-mount the incorrect way. But you see like how when you screw the T-mount adapter onto the teleconverter, what happened to me is it got stuck. I accidentally screwed it on too tight, and when I unscrewed it, I accidentally unscrewed it from the teleconverter and not the adapter for my camera, and so it was actually a bit of a chore actually to get it off. So make sure that little ring is really screwed on tight to that teleconverter, so that you don't have to get some like pliers out or whatever like I did to get it off. So looking at some sample images now, most of these are actually handheld, believe it or not, at 650 millimeters. But you can see the reason I want to show this is that, I mean, the quality of this lens is only okay. You see some chromatic aberration, and then the colors are also just really, there's not a lot of vibrancy with the colors. I mean, it could also be just the time of day and, the season that I'm shooting in. But a lot of these images I'm pretty sure also overcorrected in Lightroom. But this just gives you an idea of some of the capabilities of this lens. And really, once you edit a lot of the photos, they don't look too bad. I mean, I got this again for $200. If you want to get a Canon equivalent of this lens, you're going to be spending at least like $10,000 or whatever to get, anything that goes even close to 1300 millimeters. But yeah, just some artsy shots, just kind of showing off, like the sharpness and stuff of this lens. But I mean, overall, not a bad lens. The big problem really is just that size for me. But I mean, whatever works for you. If you also want to see me do a comparison video between this telephoto zoom lens and another telephoto, super cheap telephoto lens, I'll have the link for that in the description. That should be coming out relatively soon. And yeah, just thanks for watching, and just let me know what you guys think in the comments.